believe is without any error and is truthful in all it teaches, and we will turn together to our passage for this morning, which is in Acts 5:17 through 42. So Acts 5:17 through 42. So we are well into Luke's narrative on the church, on the birth and growth of the early church. If you remember from way back at the beginning, we saw that he originally wrote this to Theophilus. Theophilus was a Gentile who had received some Christian instruction, made an acquaintance, a friendship with Luke, becomes Luke's patron, his benefactor, and this enables Luke to make a living while doing research and writing his two books. If you read through the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts, it's obvious that Luke, who was not an original disciple, went and interviewed these people. He interviewed Mary and he interviewed the other disciples to put together this story, and we see that here in the book of Acts. And so, as we saw last week, we talked about there's an ebb and flow to Luke's narrative. This isn't just a collection of historical facts that he just throws on the page. He's telling a story. He's telling the story of the birth and the growth of the early church. And Luke's a good storyteller. He's a good storyteller because he's been divinely led and inspired to tell a story, and he has the greatest story to tell. It's the story of Christ and of his church. We see this ebb and flow of good storytelling and how he structures this book. Such as last week, we were able to bask in the wonder of God's works in and through his people. God was doing wonders and signs in and through his people. And they were doing this in gospel ministry. And as we saw, when God's people are engaged in gospel ministry, faithful gospel ministry, two things will happen. It will